What is up, MFers? I'm freaking jacked for the video today. As I've been hinting at and telling you guys for the last couple months, I got a brand new boat. Nothing was wrong with the old boat. There was just a couple things that I wanted to improve, and I went to Boat Works and I got that done. I told them the idea of what I wanted to run on the opens this year. Exactly what I wanted. I know I keep saying, oh, this is my dream boat every single year. Well, it really freaking is. Everything I get to do for a living is my dream. My dream was to have a job in the fishing industry. I've developed these relationships with companies, working my ass off since I was so freaking young, and it's coming to fruition. I'll just freaking flat out say it. And this one of the relationships that I'm very proud to have is with Boat Works and Bait Works. And when I came to them with this idea of what I wanted to run the opens, I knew that I wanted everything dialed in absolutely perfect, because I'm competing against some of the best anglers in the world. Again, as I keep saying, a lot of people are saying the opens schedule this year and the route to the opens is going to be the most competitive ever. And I wanted the best machine possible for this tall mountain that I'm gonna climb. And we freaking did it. It's right back here behind me. So without further ado, let's check out the brand new 2023 Camus CX21 Pro. As you guys can see, it's absolutely freaking beautiful, but it's missing something that I've been frustrated about. You guys probably know that I'm supposed to be getting a wrap on this boat, and I don't know when you're seeing this. I'm probably fishing the damn open by the time you're watching this video, but we're leaving in 3 days and it does not have a wrap on it. So just wanted to apologize to you guys that that wasn't able to get lined up before this first tournament. It was 100% supposed to. Been working on it for months. And somewhere along the way, I'm not gonna throw any companies under the bus on this, but some communication and relationships got screwed up, nothing to do with me, and it's not wrapped right now. We are working on that process and we'll have a wrap on it before the second open at Toledo Bend here in about a month. Shit happens and it doesn't have it yet, but all you members' faces are in fact going to be on the boat. Not gonna have it for the first open, but that's cool. We're gonna have something really cool though, actually, that you will see probably in a couple videos from now that I'm installing in 2 days. That's going to be on the entire layout of the boat that I've never seen on a bass boat before. So that's gonna be really cool. But let's get into this boat. I'm gonna give you a quick walkthrough. A lot of you guys are familiar with the Camus, the layout and everything, and what I said about it from last year's video and watching all my videos, but a lot of you guys are probably new, and a lot of you guys probably wanna know what I thought about this boat after using it for an entire year. Let me start off by saying this. I have no affiliation with any company that's part of my boat except for the powerhouse lithiums that are in it, which I think those speak for themselves. You guys have seen how effective they are and how clean my image is on my graphs and everything. So I'll show you that setup, which is badass too, which I'm excited about. But Boat Works has several different brands of boats, which please go check them out. Incredible customer service. They support me. It's important for me that you guys support them as supporters of the channel. Everyone's supporting each other. There's a lot of supports there, but they have a lot of different brands of boats. They told me I could have whatever brand boat, I could put whatever electronics, I could put whatever trolling motor, whatever jack plate, whatever poles on it, shallow water anchor system, that is. I was not required to use any electronics brand, anything. And so I got to pick exactly what I wanted on this boat, and that's what I did. So first off, let's talk about the Camus. So last year, you guys know I ran this exact same boat. The layout is the same on it still for 2023. I had a 2022 last year. It had everything that I wanted. It was insanely good riding boat, and no chop, a little bit of chop, rough water, everything. It freaking tackled it. It rides a little bit different than any boat that I've ever been in. It's my favorite boat that I've ever been in, honestly, start to finish. I will say that. Rides a little higher up. Seats are super comfortable. And so, I don't know, the ride on it's amazing. It's a wide deck, big fishing platform up there, very stable boat. And the attention to detail is extremely important. I'll show you the gauges and everything, but the gauges are awesome. The little shit on this boat that's broken and kind of fucked up and gone out on my other boats, none of that happened in the time I had my last boat, which was incredible because that happens in every boat. This guy has stayed rock freaking solid. Let me hop up. We'll start on the front of the boat and then work our way to the back. And I kind of teased you guys with what electronics I'm throwing on there because I did switch it up to the best possible layout. Let's just hop into that right now, Cole. Why not? Grandpa stairs. It was important to me to have grandpa stairs so Zark could make fun of me again for being old. But hey, I freaking love that. That's super nice, especially launching by yourself. Whole front deck is padded. That's one thing that I loved about the Camus. Cole loves it too. He's got to stand on the back deck a lot of times, which is not padded. He likes to come up here. But most boat companies just have this piece right here padded, not the compartments. Well, the Camus, the entire thing, whole platform up here, which is massive, is all padded. Just for size reference, I'm about 6'2". Even though everyone thinks I'm about 5'3", it's a big ass boat. I can stand all the way across it. Flat-footed, I don't reach all the way across. It's a big something bitch, very long. I don't know, the big fishing platform is almost like the old school Rangers. It's just, it's a huge fishing platform, but it doesn't feel like a big clunky grandpa boat at the same time. Trolling motor, like I said, I could have picked any of them. This has by far been my favorite, Minn Kota Ultrex. I love the cable drive aspect of it, while at the same time having the electric. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. That's the one I picked because it's been the most dependable for me. As you guys can see, we got a lot of graphs up here. Now we'll kind of talk about why I picked these graphs specifically when we get back at the console, but we got 3 up here now. I know everyone's like, oh, you can't get fish out of electronics. Well, you can think whatever you want. It's a great thing about fishing is this sport is whatever you want to make it. And I choose to use what's going to help me catch fish against the best fishermen in the world who are also using the best electronics. Now, I've used all 3 of these brands, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. I picked all 3 this year because I wanted the strengths of all 3. So we got the Garmin up front. Don't worry, guys. I'm running the 16-inch Garmin for forward-facing sonar exclusively up here. That's all I have it for. This is the only Garmin screen on my boat. There is no comparison. I don't care what any expert tells you. There is no comparison with live scope and forward-facing sonar. Garmin is by far ahead of the game. Anyone that tells you otherwise is either sponsored by another company or they have bad blood towards Garmin. That's all there is freaking to it. You can catch fish using the other companies, Lowrance and Humminbird, which we have right here, but that was no decision for me. That's what I'm gonna use. I get paid $0 to say that. I didn't get the free screen to tell you that, nothing. That's what I use. Right next to that, we got a Lowrance HDS 12 underneath it, I guess. So that's touchscreen. And then the Humminbird Helix 12, which is what I had 3 of on my last boat. So I'm running both of those, and I'll tell you why when we get back at the console. You guys see this big guy up here? Got the Humminbird 360 again this year. So last year was the first year that I ever used a 360. I didn't use it a lot, but what it's most valuable for is spot locking in a position and letting that thing spin around and see how the fish are positioning and setting up around your boat, or really seeing how the hard spots, bluegill beds, bass beds even, rocks, stuff like that is really laid out. Now I pan around like a sunbait. You guys see me freaking feathering around like crazy. And so it's not that valuable for that reason, but for bottom structure purposes, the 360 is great. And I think, I might end up taking it off, but I think in a tournament situation, it's gonna be important for me this year, because if I'm fishing an area and there's 27 boats around, I can't just freaking drive all over the place and weave like I would if I was there by myself. I'm gonna have to stay in one spot and really maximize what's there in that area. The 360 is gonna allow me to do that. Live scopers will know this, but that's the Garmin LVS34 transducer. Yeah, that's the newest transducer. Obviously everything is updated, and we're gonna get it dialed in today because I have 1 or 2 days to fish before I go to Eufaula for the first open. Very important to me to get that all figured out before we do that. But let's go back. I'll kind of show you how the boat's laid out, how I lay it out anyways. So rod locker over here, I have hardly anything in there. I was just telling Cole, like, I literally threw a bunch of those new reels from Baitworks on there on my 6 cents rods. Haven't even put line on a bunch of them, but nice big rod locker. I think it'll hold, it's not the biggest rod locker I've ever seen, but it'll hold 35 probably rods with reels on them. You probably don't need more than that in any tournament. And then over here, this side over here is where I like to keep a lot of my swim baits. I don't know if yeah, here's some jig trailers. Besides that, I have nothing else over here besides swim baits, which is kind of funny. But I keep them all in these 6-cent bags is my favorite way to store them. These big, long sacks, because you can put them, line them all up, you know, all your baits, all your colors, right at your fingertips. Whether that be my little Divine swim baits, we got a bunch of Kitex in here. Got other size Divines. It holds a bigger packs of whales. I don't know, I just got the colors and everything that I use. I've streamlined everything big time. There isn't anything in my boat right now that I won't be having in the first open. So I've been getting that dialed in about early as balls every morning. This guy over here is nice, little day box type deal. I'm probably gonna switch a bunch of that stuff out. I like how this comes out. You can put whatever you're gonna use in there. I'll probably take this divider out, but this stuff's pretty simple. This is all my line in here. I got my crank wraps in there. All my modification rigging stuff for swim baits in that little pouch right there. But another cool thing about this is fully insulated right here. So if you want to pack 2 cases or 3 cases of beer in your boat, you only got room for like 1 case here in this cooler. You can use this as a cooler too. So that's kind of cool. So this is my main tackle storage compartment. It can also double as a rod locker. You can see all the rod ports there. I kind of wish they would take that out and make it bigger, but I guess some guys probably do want to put their rods there. It actually came with a rod holder guy that slid into this, so to hold them, whatever. It is what it is. This is where I keep all my hard baits, terminal tackle, stuff like that, spinner baits, as you guys can see. Spare reels, jig heads, stuff like that. One thing that's nice that you can see up there, those 2 ports going in and out that I didn't really talk about, but there's actually, once we go back, you'll see it, there's a fan system that rolls through here. And so it comes in this rod, or this, not rod locker, but this side compartment, and then it goes over through this compartment, it goes through the rod locker, and it comes out over here where the co-angler's rods go. And so you can run that fan if you have a day on the water where it rains like crazy and dry all your stuff out, which is very good. This right here is where I keep my bait pile. It ends up being way too big, not too crazy. 2 holders here, measuring board guy there. I love this compartment. It's one of my favorite things in the Camus boat. I can keep my scales, my super glue, my wire, my scent, tools, whatever you want, right in there. It's perfect. Co-angler stuff there is pretty explanatory. Just your simple rod holder area guy. Here's the cooler right here. Holds quite a bit of stuff. Yeah, it's a cooler. Seats are awesome. Like I said, I love those. I love the compartment in between the seats. Nice and deep. Holds everything I need from cold clip stuff, tools, boat insurance, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. These seats are great. Like I was saying, one thing I really like is they actually go forward and backward. So you don't have to worry about adjusting your hot foot that much, which can be a pain in the ass. But let's talk about this up here. So these are my 2 graphs back here. I did a Lowrance HDS Live 12 and a Humminbird Helix 12. So the reason I'm running both different brands, and they are both linked to the graphs up there, is Humminbird, they're like I said, not sponsored by either of these companies, but Humminbird has really good side imaging, down imaging, especially in shallower water situations. They also have Lake Master mapping, which is some of, if not the best mapping that there is. But the processors on the touchscreen versions suck, and people have issues with them. And I've been told by Captain Ron, by Lee Livesey, that they're like, no one in the pros hardly run them because they freeze up and goes wrong with the processors, the touchscreen. So because of that, you end up with a not touchscreen, which is the Helix, which, if you're not familiar with not having a touchscreen graph, it takes forever to change your waypoints, to scroll around, and even my Helixes last year, just running, it would take forever for the graph to populate, and it kind of seems sketchy sometimes. So I wanted side imaging capabilities, down imaging capabilities in Lake Master, but I also wanted the capabilities of this Lowrance touchscreen, which is a faster processor. Also has really good side scan, and better side scan actually in deeper water than Humminbird. Good down scan. Another really minute thing that's really nice about the Lowrance is in side scanning, if you scan past something, you can scroll way back with Lowrance. You can't do that with Humminbird. You can only go as far as the screen has populated, however fast that it's going. You guys will understand that if you know what I'm talking about. Also with the Lowrance, it has CMAP built in. So just a different mapping software built into the Lowrance. So I'm gonna have two different types of maps, which again, might seem trivial, but sometimes whether it be the depth shading or just flat out, it's been laid out differently. You see things on one brand of mapping that you don't see on another one. We're fishing a lot of giant bodies of water in the opens this year. I wanted to see everything that was available possible. So that's what I did. And again, I wanted the Humminbird up front to run 360 on as well. So most of my side scanning will be with the Humminbird side scan, down scan. I'll try to run the map on it as well. And then most of the mapping, the waypoint management and stuff, I'm gonna try to keep on the Lowrance so I can find brush piles, type them in, put brush pile, and they don't end up with just all blue dots like on the Humminbird. Hopefully that makes sense to you electronics heads, what I'm talking about. Whew. Here's two things. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see with me sitting here. This panel is badass. It's my favorite panel of any boat I've owned. I think I've had 5 or 6 bass boats now. This is by far and away the best system with the buttons. None of them went out. Here's the fan I was telling you guys about. Everything else is self-explanatory, but that's super nice. This might be my favorite compartment on the whole damn boat, Cole. Let me stand on my seat and wreck it. And I like this right here a lot. I can put waterproof stuff in there. Water will not get in there as far as I've seen. I've fished in some damn downpours. Got a plug in here, of course, too. Straight up USBs, so I can run a GoPro with a cord through there all day. Put my map chips in there, as you guys can see. I can put remotes, I can put my phone, electronics, obviously camera stuff, whatever I need, things the deal. Now, as we move back in the boat, you'll see this remote right here for the poles that I decided to go with. Once again, not brand specific, not sponsored by any company. I've owned power poles, I've owned Talons, and I've owned Raptors on my boat, which are, I think, the only 3 that you can get. I'm pretty sure, the 3 major ones anyways. Far and away, my favorite have been these guys right here, the Minn Kota Raptors. I got the 10 footers because, well, if you're in more than 5.5 feet, you can't reach the bottom with 8 footers, and I want to be able to reach as far as possible, and they make 10s. So I got freaking 10s. They're badass. These things are just rock solid. They work great. They hold you better than the other 2 brands. They're not as big and clunky as the Talons that they used to have with Minn Kota. I don't know. I just freaking love them. They've been badass. These 2 side, here's the live wells here. They look like live wells. Nothing too crazy. They keep the fish alive when you put them in there and there's water. Yep, that's it. 2 side compartments here are the same size. Nothing too crazy. I'll end up taking all that stuff out of there so my co-angler for the tournament has baits to use, but I keep a lot of my soft baits over here. Nice and big. Once again, fiberglassed all the way through. Got this nice seal. Most boats say that they're waterproof, and most of them are not very waterproof. I didn't have any problems with it last year. Like my Triton completely wrecked like all my plastics. So that was fun. Last year with the Camus, this gummy little strip right here did its jab. And then like I was telling you guys, coming back here to the battery compartment, total badass setup from the only company that I'm brand specifically sponsored by on this boat, which is Powerhouse Lithium. So this is nice actually too. I got plenty of room back here. Let me take these 2 things out and show you this badass setup that they hooked up at Boatworks. So I got everything on switches. Once again, here's the 2 Raptor pumps right here for right back there. But here's my setup of Powerhouse Lithiums. I get so many questions. I probably get more questions about the lithiums than any other question about my boat. And that's because so much of the industry is going to these lithium batteries. And the great thing about Powerhouse is, 1, they offer a battery that no other company does. And 2, you can use my MF10 code and get them cheaper. Lithium batteries, it's no secret, are very expensive. And so being able to save a little money, and they already have very affordable lithium batteries, it's important. But here's my whole setup. So 12-volt starting battery. A lot of companies don't have the 12-volt starting batteries in lithiums. It's what I ran the entire year last year. This thing is bad to the freaking bone. It's on a main switch right there. I'll tell you what these switches do in a second. And then 16 volt electronics battery. That thing is absolutely key. No other company has that. That right there powers all of my electronics in the boat. So it powers 5 screens, live scope, 360, and it is a freaking powerhouse. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. That thing puts out more power to my graphs, makes them some bitches light up like no other graph I've seen. So you guys see the 16, 17 volts running right down there in the corner of the screen. You're like, how is that even possible on a 12 volt system? It's that guy right there. That thing's bad to the bone. It's gonna give you a better picture on your graphs. It's gonna power your electronics so it's not pulling off your starting battery all day, killing it like we're always freaking accustomed to. Lithium's have changed the freaking game, and that's one big part of it right there. And then last but not least, 2 36 volt batteries. We'd probably definitely be fine with one, but 2 is great. That's the biggest one they make. I think it's, how many amp hours does that say it is, Cole? 38.4 is actually the amount of volts on it, but I got 2 of these guys in parallel lined up. Here's another cool thing about Powerhouse that is freaking incredible. These 2 dudes right here, and as you can see, Brennan at Boatworks, I appreciate you freaking rigging this up. Look how clean all this is back here. It's unbelievable. But these 2 guys are called the run and gun systems. So there's one for 36, one for 16 volts. So what happens is, here's my 12 volt battery. This is my starting battery, runs off the alternator, starts the engine. Boom. Rocket science, runs the live wells, runs the lights, stuff like that. So as this guy is running, and when it's full, which as you guys know, lithium's charge quick, I can recharge my entire system. If I do straight to the batteries, I can recharge them in like an hour and a half, which is mind blowing. But anyway, as the alternator goes, it sends power through these guys right here to those batteries. So if those would go out, I could literally get behind the engine, start it up, idle around for 20 minutes, and 20 minutes would be enough to last me probably 3 or 4 hours just from taking battery from this guy right here through the alternator, sending it to those over there. So that's incredible, obviously. And then this guy right here is my onboard charging system. So a lot of people ask, like, how are you charging your whole system? Are you having to plug into your 36 volt, your 16, or 12? Like, how does the plug system work? It's very simple. We got your basic onboard charger right here, a 4 bank, 15 amps per bank, Minn Kota onboard chargers. So 3 of these are going to the 12 volt battery. That's it. So they charge the 12 volt, which charges very quick and pretty much stays 100% like I was saying, because it charges through the alternator so quickly. And then through the running gun systems, it sends the power over to those batteries. So plug it in right there, just like you do your onboard charger, through the onboard charger here, through the 12 volt, through these guys, over to there. And that's it. That's my system. That's my whole system. And as you guys can see, it's clean as shit. It looks incredible. I haven't owned a boat besides my last Camus, but even then there was a lot more wiring and stuff. I've never owned one that was this clean back in the battery compartment. And then another thing that Camus does, it's incredible. Check this out. You got any problems with any of your pumps down here, you have full access. It's not restricted. You don't have to frickin' drill into the boat or hire a mechanic just to be able to see in there to get it diagnosed. And then you got any problems with your bilge pumps, your live wells and everything, check this out. Got this guy, boom, you're in. Right there, that's simple. I don't know how many other companies have that on their new boats, but that should be a thing we gotta freaking have. So you guys can see, so I got all these back here. I got I'll have spare pan optics with me every time. I got my prop wrench, spare trolling motor blade, jump starting kit for whatever reason, which by the way, I didn't say that, but this 12 volts got the emergency start button on it too, if anything would ever run out, which is awesome. Keep this back here. I mean, I could put I'll probably put another prop in there. I'm gonna bring a drill with me. I got room for all sorts of stuff, and because these lithiums are so light, it's almost better to add some weight to get more bow lift, because it's kind of throws things off in these newer boats because they're so freaking light. But yeah, everything's great. I'm so freaking jacked about this. And then I didn't really talk about it much, but 4-stroke 250 Mercury, which is the 3rd boat in a row I've had that same engine on. Been a really good engine. Trying to think of what problems I've had with it. Lower unit issue. Some idiot hit a giant boulder. I don't know, had to switch my lower unit, so that sucked. What's that? There's a pin that comes out. I should probably keep a spare one with me, actually. Try to get a spare one before I go on the open schedule because that can suck. But besides that, man, everything was great. Oh, this was a huge thing I added too, that I really wanted for these opens. This was more like a want thing that I'm really happy that Boatworks is cool as shit and they allowed me to have it. Hydraulic jack plate. I've never run a hydraulic. I've only had manual, but if you're familiar with hydraulic jack plates, this is the best one that there is, this Atlas, or it's one of the best ones. I don't know a ton about them, but they make the engine go up and down. It's not complicated. But basically, I can raise it, I can lower it. If I'm in really rough, really big water, I can lower that sumbitch way down, get on top of the waves a lot better. If it's really shallow water, or if I want better performance, I can raise it. I can change everything on the fly and just get the most performance out of this boat as possible. Side imaging transducers, one on each side for each brand. This is a nice little feature right here. I should probably learn how to use it in case I fall in case Cole does. I'll be able to get out. Cole'll probably be screwed. Ladder guy. I'm not even gonna joke about that because god dang, freaking tried to die a couple times out fishing. Here's a cool feature over here by my rods that fell down that I didn't talk about. Talked about it last year, but they actually, Earl Bentz, the designer of this boat, is one of, if not the best boat designer of all time. And this is just a little thing that I love about the Caymas, but you can see the nose of the boat that comes down just with the way the boat's shaped would cause this trolling motor to not come in at a level angle. That's something that a lot of boat brands don't have, and maybe it's something that is causing you guys issues with your pan optics too, not shooting straight or whatever, or level. They glass in a level on it, so it'll sit flush. You can see maybe better from the other side. This part that they mount the trolling motor bracket to is raised instead of just sitting flush with the boat. Little stuff like that makes a huge difference that you just don't think of, and really can probably change your forward facing quite a bit too. But yeah, we're gonna go fish and get the maiden voyage done with today, get the graphs even more dialed in. Which, by the way, thank you, Captain Ron. In the middle of guiding down in Falcon Lake, Texas, I called him, FaceTimed him from bed last night. Narani was in bed. A long day on the water down at Falcon. They've been crushing them, so definitely book a trip with Ronnie or something. But he's an electronics dude. He told me everything I need to do to get my Humminbird, or not my Hummers, my Lowrances dialed in, because I hadn't run them in a long time. So Humminbirds are dialed now, Lowrances are dialed, and we'll get them more tweaked in once we get on the water. But thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, everyone that supports the dream. A couple more days of fishing, and we're heading east. We gotta go get this thing figured out though, so hopefully you guys can understand that. If you have any more questions about the boat or the electronics, about the batteries, why I did this, if you want to leave a mean comment about, oh, you got so many electronics, that's great too. Leave that comment down below, and I'll try to get back to as many of you guys as possible. And I gotta poop, and then we're gonna go rip some. I'm out of here. Peace.